What Doug didn't tell you was that he called me up in a frantic panic last week saying, "I need wine. I've got to have somebody here. Try to get into this club." I'm only kidding, Doug. Two wines. We picked two wines for two different reasons, obviously, but we wanted to show you the diversity, obviously, that is on the North Fork. We had the two Chardonnays, and I assume you could both see how different those two wines were. One was a stainless steel, which was light and crisp, and then the barrel fermented had a little richness and more creamy, and went beautiful with those oysters. I mean, the chef did a great job with that. But we have two wine gifts to get the chef out here. But we have the Mélange des Trois, which is French for meaning the blend of three. And that particular blend, the red, those of you who are eating the beef, is a Cabernet base blend. We only make that particular wine in very good years, and as Jake said earlier, 2005 was a stunner of a year, a very hot year. That was the year Cabernet got very ripe, and it's a thing that we have challenged to do out on the North Fork, because it is a last variety to come in, basically, Cabernet Sauvignon. That's why California does such a wonderful job of making Cabernet Sauvignon. We make more of an elegant style, meaning that it's got a little more natural fruit to it, some more acidity, and it's a wine that'll age longer. But the Mélange des Trois has a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Cab Franc, and Merlot. And somebody had asked me at the table about blending before, and blending is something that we do on a continual basis, because when you take one wine, it's very good on its own. Let's say we take Merlot, and it'll be nice on its own, but you put one part of Cab or one part of Cab Franc in it, that blend actually creates a marriage and produces a better wine in the long run, and that's why we do the blends. But the Mélange des Trois is what we call a meritage wine. It's not a single variety. In order to be a single variety, you have to have 75% of that grape in that bottle in order to consider it a Merlot variety or Cabernet Sauvignon variety. So the Mélange can be any basic blend that we come up with. And that particular year, it happened to be, Jake, correct me if I'm wrong, it's about 60% Cabernet Sauv, 28 Merlot, and the remainder is Cabernet Franc there. But that'll change from year to year, and that's based on, once again, my ability to see what the vineyard's doing and come up with that final blend. The next wine that we're going to try is the 2007 Sarah's Hill, and it was named after one of my daughters, Sarah. I have three daughters. And Sarah's Hill is a little hill we have in the vineyard. Believe it or not, Long Island does have some hills to it. Not many, but the particular spot we have where the Pinot was produced, there is a slight slope to it. And that slope actually happens to be a beautiful southerly slope. And you might say, well, what's the difference between a northerly and a southerly slope? The southerly slope has the sun on it on a continual basis, which means that fruit is going to ripen continually. And so when we make decisions for planting, we look at those things in the lay of the land, the variety, and what it ultimately is we want to accomplish in that wine. You don't think about that when you first get into this business. You plant a grape and you say, wow, I'm making wine. Isn't this great? Then you realize that maybe your decision was not the best decision, which has happened. But now when we do any types of planting, it is a very serious business, because that vine is going to be in the ground for over 40, 50 years. And that's how long it does take to produce high-quality wines. It is a commitment, and that's what I had stated earlier. It's a lot of work, but it's more of a commitment to the land over the next 30, 40 years. I am a second generation, meaning that my father started it. He's still actively involved in the business, but I am the second, and now my children are going to be the third generation. Very hard thing to do in a family business, is get it to that third generation. If you look at the rest of the world, meaning France and Spain, it's generation after generation after generation that makes those areas so unique, and that they've got the commitment to produce high-quality wines. I would hope that Long Island is not going to be a one-hit wonder, meaning that after 30, 40 years, everybody starts ripping it out and planting houses. That is not my goal. We've sold the development rights to our property. We have 60 acres, which means not a house will be built on that piece of property ever. Generations can remain out there, and it is a struggle, because land values continue to rise, and it becomes a big issue for families to make a decision as to what we want to do. Potato farming was 50,000 acres in the 60s and 70s on Long Island. Anybody want to take a guess how much is left in potatoes? Lower?
5%.
Lower?
None. 2%?
Less than 2,000 acres. And it gets to that generation saying, I don't want to do this work. It's too much. There's not enough in it for me to make a living. So vineyards are no different. It takes a lot of commitment, a lot of financial stress on everybody. Jake, when he first started in the business with us, he enjoyed many different varieties of wines. So he came to appreciate what we do because of the amount of work that goes into producing one bottle. And that is something that a lot of people don't quite understand, is that it's a tremendous amount of work to produce one bottle. Whether it's good or bad is always up to the individual to decide. But I never want to produce bad wine. That's not our goal, obviously. But we picked Pinot with the fish tonight, the salmon. The salmon happens to be a richer fish. And I felt the Pinot from the 2007 vintage, which was another beautiful year, could hold up to that particular thing. And Cabernet can overpower a fish, but there's no white and red rule when it comes to fish, or any shellfish as far as I'm concerned, because based on the broth or the sauce, that can help complement. Do you grill it? Are you sauteing it? Are you putting different spices on there? Riesling, another one. You can do a lot of Thai dishes with seafood, and you get that spiciness from that, and then you get the sweetness from the Riesling, which counterbalances it. So it's a matter of playing with the particular wines that you're doing, and always experiment, because there's no right and wrong. You'll find that on your own when it comes to playing with that and parenting. But any questions at all?
I have a question.
Yep.
How many different varieties of grapes are there that, in the world? I mean,
That's a very good question. Jake actually gave me for a Christmas present a chart. It's called the DeLong Grape Varietal Chart.